Welcome to the Gleeful Meeple, a podcast all about board games where strategy meets laughter and cities in the sky are real. In this episode, we ask ourselves, who needs friends? As we talk about solo gaming. We bid our way to greatness in this week's game of the show, Skyrise. And you, the Gleeples, get to play along as the hosts get put in the hot seat with this week's game challenge. The mayor has enlisted some of humanity's greatest visionaries to help build Skyrise, a magnificent city in the sky, dedicated to art, science, and beauty. But only one artisan can be remembered as the greatest. Hey, fellow artisans.
Hey, James.
Hello.
Hey, James. It's Emily.
Dwayne's here.
And I'm still JK.
And I am James. You know what I have for you to start us off today?
Is it a haiku?
It's not a haiku. Oh, I'm disappointing you now.
Is it a limerick?
It might not be a limerick. That's related to a limerick, though. It's a limerick synonym.
Is it a knock knock?
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Not a limerick.
Okay.
Is it a riddle?
It is a riddle.
Hey.
Whoa.
You nailed it, Emily.
Fourth time's the charm.
Now I got to write a limerick. I got to write a haiku. I got a lot of things.
There once was a man of devices.
Whoa.
I will excuse you for making a knock knock joke. You don't need to go that far.
25 hiding in plain sight. Try to guide them right. From 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, an agonizing wait as your team just can't. Tap into the grid to send your missive, but don't forget this game is restrictive. No, I thought the first
There's
line might give it
a lot
away.
going on there.
There
1
was.
to 25.
Okay, I'm going to throw out a quick guess. Is it decrypto?
It is not
Okay.
crypto,
My
but you're on the right track.
my
Okay.
train of thought was bomb busters with the 1 to 2, 3 to 4.
I didn't know it went that
Is-
high.
are you
But
But
It's
it,
not-
but
it's
it
not bomb
doesn't.
busters.
So I was like trying to do the math to make 25 work, and it just doesn't.
What is that best card game of all time we played recently? Or self-proclaimed?
Flip 7.
It's not Flip 25.
Yeah, there's not enough, numbers there. Man, I feel like...
I'll say it again.
okay.
I'll say it again.
I'll
You
listen
continue talking
again.
out. I think it's worth saying one more time. 25 hiding in plain sight. Try to guide them right. JK thinks he has it.
Is it letter jam?
It is not letter jam.
Wow.
That's 26
From 1 to 2
letters.
to 3 to 4.
But you see one of them, so the other 25 would be hiding. there you go.
No, that's
Okay.
fair.
Sorry, continue.
An agonizing wait as your team just can't.
Okay.
Tap into the grid to send your missive, but don't forget this game is restrictive.
Tap into the grid.
Missive. Is it the key?
It's not.
Oh, that's
wow,
a
I'm
good-
really
that's a good
stumping you
guess.
guys on this one.
Your missive.
Are the Gleeples yelling into their?
Okay, hold on. So okay, so now we're working
Their
together.
cars.
We are going to defeat James on this. So numbers in a row. 25 hiding in plain sight. Because when we talk about numbers, I immediately think of something like the mind. It's the 25 thing that's throwing me off. 1 to 2 to 3 to 4.
25 squares. It's bingo.
It is not
Oh,
bingo.
it's not
That's
bingo.
Oh.
knock knock.
Hold on. I got it. Code names.
It is code name.
We were not working together. I fooled you all.
25 spies out on the table. It's 25 cards.
When I started
Fair,
thinking,
yeah.
Tap into the grid.
and you even
That's
said
good.
the
That's
grid,
really good.
and that's when I was not thinking about that structure until I kind of replayed it again.
I was trying to get the grid in there. When I came up with tap into the grid, I kind of giggled to myself. I was happy with myself when I read
Very
it.
good one, James. I like the ones that are solvable, but it takes us a minute to get there because usually, like, our hands are up very quickly.
But that one kind of made me feel stupid at the first part.
Great job,
They're
Blaine.
there.
Good job, everybody.
Thanks, y'all. Okay, I have done something really stupid.
Again?
Okay. Yes,
Whoa.
and I'm going to share this with you guys because it's.
But only us, right? Nobody else
It's
will
the
hear
code
it.
of the show.
Wait, did you raise the dead?
No.
Did you wreck the car?
No.
The car's okay.
No. I did something bad with a board game.
Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm in.
Okay.
Let's talk about it.
So,
Shunning will commence.
Dwayne, you have played Merchant's Cove.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the game. Merchant's Cove, for listeners that haven't seen this, it's a really clever game. And the idea behind it is you are some form of merchant producing goods to sell to customers at the heretofore named Merchant's Cove. So the gist of the game is you are completing things to try and get the goods to sell the customers, but you're also trying to make sure that the proper customers get to the point where you can sell to them. If you have a big green potion, you want a green customer to come buy that.
Okay,
You don't want
this
to be
seems
mismatched. Yeah.
fairly normal. Is there a twist?
There is a twist.
Okay.
Each merchant in the game is playing an entirely different game. So one merchant might be doing something that's kind of similar to Potion Explosion. One might be doing area control. One might be doing a roll and write.
Wow.
And as each of them is doing things to produce their goods, that's kind of the fun of the game. Well,
this sounds like a nightmare to teach.
it is. It's
A little
not fun.
bit.
It's not fun. I think I've talked about that before, that it's not fun to teach. But I think the base game comes with 4 different merchants. Since the base game has come out, they've released maybe another 4 merchants that can be mixed into that.
Yeah.
They have a Kickstarter currently.
Oh,
and the
yeah.
Kickstarter adds another 6 merchants.
Oh,
my goodness.
wow.
Which is really, really cool. Yeah. Yeah. So you're really stretching the limits on what you can do with this game.
You're stretching the limits on whoever's teaching the
Very
game.
much so, but the more important factor, I currently have Merchant's Cove spread over, I think, 3 boxes worth of stuff. In this Kickstarter, they released 1 game tray storage solution for everything. It will hold the base game. It will hold every merchant. It will hold everything you want out of this game.
Does it fit into a calyx?
I don't know about that. I'm gonna guess that it's probably comparable to the size of like the Wingspan nesting box.
Will it break your table?
That may happen. So I think I backed this thing like maybe a year and a half ago. It's been out there for a while. They've had some struggles kind of getting.
Oh, so it's not currently running.
No.
Oh, okay.
They've had some struggles getting the storage box exactly right, working with game trays to get the dimensions and get everything to fit precisely. But they came out with this announcement that it's on the boats. It's coming to America and we're going to have it soon. And I was so excited. And I went and looked at my pledge and realized I didn't order the box.
Oh, no.
It was a separate pledge just for
It
the
was
box.
an add-on. Yeah.
Oh.
The whole campaign was centered around the 6 new merchants, which I got that.
JK.
Yeah. And I looked at my pledge. I was like, uh-oh, that's nowhere near enough money.
So now you got 6 more boxes.
I have more boxes. Yeah. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I have already emailed the company that produces this, which I think is called Forbidden Planet, maybe. It's the same people who make Cavern Tavern and Bardwood Grove, which luckily I have a lot of their games and I like a lot of their games. So maybe there's some good karma there for me that I'm going to get this. But I know there's no way they can add this on to my pledge because
Sure.
it's gone through backer kit. It's closed out. It's done. I'm just hoping there is some way after the fact I can somehow acquire this box, or I'm going to be really, really
Well, that's what
sad.
eBay's for.
All right, and if
There's
you-
always a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you find someone with a 3D printer and see if they can
Oh.
hook you up.
So that's item number 1 I wanted to tell you. I want to tell you item number 2 as well, because I am absolutely kicking myself over this.
Is that
So-
the good news, bad news, or bad news,
They're
worse?
both
Bad
bad
news,
news.
worse
They're both
news?
bad news.
Yeah.
This one is almost soul crushing though. So
Oh, no.
you guys know what Record Store Day is?
I am familiar with
I've
it.
heard
Yeah.
of it.
So Record Store Day, for the few record stores that still exist in our world, is a day to really drum up business to go to a record store. And one of the ways they do this is record manufacturers and the major labels will come out with exclusives that you can only get by physically going to the record store on
Yeah.
Record Store Day.
I remember a few years ago they did a Ghostbusters soundtrack. I think it was Slimer, either Slimer Green or Stay Puft Marshmallow Man White, but
Okay.
it was a special edition. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So there's a band that had an album out in the mid 90s called the Grays. I would not expect you guys to know who they are. It was not a hit.
I can meet that expectation.
There you go. They were an offshoot of another band that I really liked. And when the Grays came out, I was like, this is going to be great. And the album to me was fantastic, but it didn't sell. They quickly broke up. It was one album that has since gone out of print. It was never, ever released on vinyl
Oh,
until this year at Record Store Day. It will be coming out on, I think it's April 12th that this thing is going to come out and be in stores. I was so excited to see this coming out. I started contacting everybody I knew in the record business to say, how do I ensure that I get a copy of this? And first they said, you're going to have to go to the record store that day. You can't like pre-order it and have them hold it for it. The idea is you go to the record store on record store day. So they said you should probably still, in advance of it coming out, go to your local record store that you shop at, make sure that they at least order a copy so that there's one coming in, because it is going to be somewhat limited edition. I was going to go to Grimey's. Grimey's is like the big record store in Nashville. And I had a day in mind where I was going to swing by once I was done driving, that I was going to go stop in, just make sure they ordered that. And I blew it off. I did not go to Grimey's that day. But you know who did go to Grimey's that day? Ringo Starr.
What?
He was in the store.
Wow.
In the store buying records. He just had a new country album come out. So not only did they have his album painted on the side of the building, but he was doing a concert at the Ryman a couple days afterwards. He hung out at Grimey's for like a couple hours and shopped. I'm so angry.
But you can still get your album, though. You just got to go buy.
Yeah.
Silver lining?
There's that. Yeah, I'm still going to buy the album. But Ringo Starr.
Wow. I feel bad for you.
Yeah.
It was rough. It was rough. The Beatles are like my mecca of music. And to think that one was in the same town that I'm in, that's hard enough. To think it's possible that I could have been in the same building as one of them, I'm kicking myself.
Man.
But on the bright side, at least it was Ringo.
Yeah, if it was Paul, I would have been in trouble. But you know what happens when bands break up?
They go
solo.
Whoa.
And
Look at that,
what a
JK.
segue.
Well done,
Dang,
JK.
well done. Solo gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about it.
What?
Do y'all solo game?
Do y'all not have friends? Why do you play board games by yourself?
Hardcore solo game.
Yes and no. Yeah.
Ish.
Ish.
I'm in ish to no solo gaming.
Yeah, I think I'm probably the heaviest solo gamer here at the table, because I started a while ago and I play almost once a week, if not multiple times a week. So
yeah. I have my solo gaming story, but I do have some thoughts though. But yeah, you're definitely the heaviest solo gamer.
what do you think the first solo game was?
Oh.
Well,
Solitaire?
maybe not. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, solitaire. And do you know when we think that started?
During the French Revolution.
Well, then I'd have to know the dates of the French Revolution. I don't know my own country's history, let alone other countries' history.
Does solitaire sound like a French word? I'm just throwing that out there. Okay.
Yes.
1762.
Yes. Very close, James. Wow. For all of history to pick that year, that's pretty good. 1783. It was originally called Patience. So
Oh, wow.
the idea has been out there for a while, but we can do better than a deck of 52 cards and some Klondike solitaire.
Tell that to Regicide. They're
that is their model.
That is another game I have played solo.
Wait, what year did you say it was?
I've got it at 1783.
Okay, because the French Revolution was 1789 to 1799, so it did precede.
Yeah, they were probably tired of playing game cards by themselves. Like, you know what we need to do is kill some people.
Wow.
So when we're talking solo gaming, I guess I look at a couple different elements to it.
Okay.
I frequently, if I'm trying to learn a game, will set it up on my table and play multiple players, but only as myself, kind of moving from seat to seat, playing each seat to see how it plays out. I think we're talking something a little bit different, though. It's actually games that are either produced to be played solo or games that have a mode in them where it's set for just one player, correct?
I mean, yes, but I mean, I don't see any difference between you playing one of those games and let's say it even has a baked-in solo mode. And instead of playing the solo mode, you just play all four players yourself.
Right.
You're still playing the game solo. I mean,
I have a different viewpoint on that. I think if you are making decisions for that should be made by other people, like especially for a competitive game. If you are playing a competitive game where I should be, where like, I mean, and to your point, that's how I learn games too. I set up 2 or 3 players and kind of go through the decision making process. I don't really count those as solo plays. I count them as just learning experiences and kind of write them off as far as stat keeping.
That makes sense, because I think about something with like Heat, where it's like there is hidden information when the player has to decide what cards they're going to play, discard, whatever. that is not known to the other players. So if you're playing multiple hands of Heat just by yourself, like it feels like you're just going through the motions for another purpose other than gaming.
Sure.
There's some games where it just doesn't work. An auction game, a bluffing game, you can't solo those out.
It's hard to bluff yourself, but not impossible.
Yeah, you won me over, Dwayne. That's a good perspective. I hadn't thought about that because the actual experience of playing the game is completely different because the competitive piece of it's out of the window. Right?
But in that vein, I do have a question. Can you all think of a truly cooperative game? So no trader mechanic or anything like that. Can you think of a truly cooperative game that you cannot solo?
Decorum. Because it's hidden information.
That is a fair point. Yeah, because it is cooperative. It is passive aggressive cooperative, but it is cooperative.
It's you and a roommate are trying to organize moving into this house, this player board house, and everyone has these very specific tastes, very specific conditions they're trying to meet. They're all hidden information, so it's like a puzzle. You're trying to learn it together, or figure it out together. Magic Maze would be another one.
Magic
maybe
Maze.
Is that the one where you have limited movements that you can do and nobody can really communicate? You're just staring at each other waiting for the person to make their move.
Okay.
I love that game, but I hate that game.
It's another fun puzzle, but it's like you're racing up against a timer, and then there's what's called the do something pawn. So whenever your teammates are waiting on you, they will just take that and just clang it on the table in front of you.
I do remember
so it can get very irritating
now.
very quickly, but I think it's bearable with two players.
Yeah, we talked about how solo and co-op kind of overlap a little bit when we talked about co-op last season, I think, co-op games. The big difference or big aspect to those, though, is that most co-op games are really meant to be played with, I would say, a larger number of players, 4 minimum most of the time for basic play. So if you're soloing a co-op game, you're really being asked to take on a lot of decision making.
Yeah.
Right. Versus if it's a truly solo game or a solo mode, you're still usually just making decisions for yourself.
Yeah. Now, in talking about playing games just as a solo player, there's two that came to mind right away from me that I've played frequently, and that's Marvel United, Marvel Champions.
Yes.
Nobody really, you don't need to have a second person in there or a third person or fourth. It's easy to just take either one hero and play it one versus the villain, or spread out 3 heroes and just 3-hand it, playing against the villain. The thing about solo games, and Dwayne, you kind of have changed my perspective on this quite a bit. When I first started hearing about games that were specifically intended for only one person to play, my gut reaction was, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. Games are social. Why would I want to play a game that nobody else can be a part of?
That, and I think like a running theme in a lot of our conversations is we really enjoy, like the 4 of us really enjoy variability in a game. And so when you automatically restrict it to one player, I already get the sense that, this game might be pretty narrow for that to already be the default.
Yeah.
But
and people that I work with I've gotten that same reaction, and just people that know I play board games, when I talk about it, I've mentioned solo games before, solo modes and things like that, and it's always that kind of reaction. It's like, wait, so you play them by yourself? And if it's a normalized thing in the hobby, but for those that aren't, it's a weird sounding thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that way up until I played Final Girl.
Yeah, Final Girl
was the game changer
solid
for me for solo gaming. I did not expect it to be that good of a game, that immersive of a game, and to have as much variability the way you can. I mean, if you just played the same scenario over and over again, there's variability in that scenario.
I agree. Yeah,
and now you've got close to 20 after season 3, close to 20 different scenarios you can play through. There's so much content there that if you've got a half an hour at home, you've got nothing to do, throw that out and play it real quick. It's easy.
So why?
Can you go ahead and explain like Final Girl? JK, can you go ahead and explain like Final Girl? Just kind of give like a brief overview, because I feel like we're going to be comparing a lot of things to how Final Girl works.
Yeah. It's basically a tribute to horror movies from the 80s, and the idea is you are the final girl,
the titular final girl,
the sole survivor that is set to go 1 versus 1 against the monster. The base game the base game doesn't come with a scenario, right?
It's an interesting way that they have built this game, because you buy the core box that basically gives you everything, that it gives you all the bits that you will need to play, but it does not give you the scenario. So you cannot play the game with just the core box, which is an issue for people who picked up the core box and did not read like what you need.
Yeah.
And of course, that's why you go to your friendly local game store, because they're like, oh, you also need Hans and Terror Camp Terror Lake.
The Friday the 13th.
The Friday 13th. Yeah.
Barnes and Noble won't tell me those things.
Barnes and Noble will not.
So when you play the game, you are set up as the final girl trying to compete against the Friday the 13th killer, for example, and you have a map of the campgrounds, and you get a random amount of items you can collect. You have a random placement of where other potential victims are that you need to go try and rescue and get them out of there. And there's a very programmed way of when this card flips over, this is how the killer is going to react. So you don't know what's coming. You have an idea of what those options are, and maybe you can plan for them. But a lot of it comes down to you choosing the mechanisms that you want to do on that turn and some lucky dice rolls. You might have a great move planned, or you got this grand idea of how you're going to escape from the killer, and then you roll the worst dice ever and lose the game.
The dice rolling can be frustrating in the game,
harsh.
and a lot of the negative comments about the game focus around the core box issue and the fact that it is
Random.
at the end of the day
Yeah.
a dice chucker. There are some good dice mitigation in there, and the more you play it, the more you kind of learn. Like just because a move looks good, you might want to bank that move and try to get some ways to get those dice to work with you for the future. But it is, and it's also it's the engine of that game is based on Van Ryder's earlier game, Hostage Negotiator. That was the first thing I ever picked up that was exclusively for solo play. And I feel like since then we've had Regicide's actually can play several people.
Yeah.
But since then we've had Warp's Edge come out, which is a solo player experience. And there's also a game called Veil Wraith that's really interesting. That is solo play only.
Is it Nemo's Journey? I think
Nemo's War.
Nemo's War.
Oh,
that's a really popular one.
I've not seen that one.
Yeah.
And there may be a Friday might be a solo. Anyway, this has kind of become a bigger subgenre within board gaming, where it is games specifically designed only for one player.
Yeah.
That's like the way you describe it, JK, like it feels like a video game. Like when I think of solo gaming, I'm thinking about like my single player video games, and it's you're going up against a villain, or you're going on a journey or adventure. You got the big bad or the boss fight or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like a key to good single player board games, because you have the other side where we've seen board games where it's the solo play is just, hey, just try to get as many points as you can.
Yeah, those tend to be my least favorite, where it's like you're just going through the motions of playing the regular board game, and it's like at the end there's a little chart like, you got 24 points, way to go.
From 0 to 5, you're terrible. Yeah. From 6 to 10, it just keeps going up. And
so it's like if you are mostly competitive with yourself, then you actually might very much enjoy that.
Quit competing yourself.
I've done that with Parks, because I just wanted to get more playthroughs of Parks. And
absolutely, there are games that I love that have that kind of mode built in, and so I will do them. They're just like, there are so many other better solo game options. I tend to lean into those a little more heavily.
So what about playing games solo? I think that reaction of like board games by yourself, that kind of a thing, comes from people see board games as always.
Thanks, Sean Connery.
People see board games as a social game, no matter what. That's what they're designed to do. Yeah. So what about playing games solo still is satisfying enough to you that makes you want to spend the time doing that? Why is it worth it for you to play games without somebody else? What is fun for that for you?
So for me, it's no different than sitting down and doing a crossword puzzle or any other kind of like mental exercise, cryptic crosswords or word searches or anything like that. It's problem solving. You sit down and you are presented with a scenario, and it's like, what is the best route through this? And on top of that, since I'm a board game collector and I have them in my collection already, why not just set it up and run through it?
100%. And kind of to your point that you were saying earlier, if we were playing Final Girl and the whole object was, go through the scenario and see how many points you get, I don't think it would be as immersive. This is really, you have all of the story laid out in front of you. And if you've seen any of these movies that they're based off of, you kind of know what you're supposed to do on this anyway. But the randomness of how your game is set up throws some extra puzzle pieces in there. And it strikes me, you kind of coined the phrase exactly, it's a puzzle. And sitting there and staring at it and going, oh yeah, I know how to do this. I would be willing to bet every single time I have played Final Girl, and I don't win often. I win seldom. But almost every game, I will hit a point where I go, I've got this. I have this. And then something horrible goes wrong, and I no longer have that. It's that thrill of doing that, trying to piece together how to get out, how to escape. It's great.
But let's go back for a second, because you did bring up Marvel United, and I think that that puts me in a direction of another reason I like to solo board game. Marvel United, I can't even guess. I'd say over 3-4 dozen villains at this point, somewhere in that neighborhood.
I think I counted this weekend. Hang on, I've got this in front of me.
Okay.
It's over 100. I know that.
Villains or characters?
Villains.
Okay.
So that's twice as much as what you're
I have all this content laying around, right? I will never be able to play 100 games of Marvel United with
that's
friends.
quitters talk. Sorry, I didn't let you finish.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If Marvel United was the only thing I ever showed up with at game days to play, first of all, I'd have to make sure I have at least one other person willing to play. It's going to be very hard to make it through all that content.
Yeah.
And for me, it's a way to sit down and learn the characters and see how the villains interact. And being a Marvel fan, like you are also, RJK, it is fun to see what they baked into that game.
Yeah.
I recently played against the Maestro Hulk, and the idea of having to have Rick James on the board.
Rick Jones,
not Rick James. That would be an amazing game too. But the idea of having to have Rick Jones is it's a big part of the Hulk Future Imperfect storyline. So the way that they are taking these well-known Marvel storylines and turning them into these scenarios, it is fun for me to experience that as a Marvel fan. I feel the same way about Marvel Legendary. They are taking very well-known story arcs from that universe and turning it into a scenario for these games.
And that's how, like, as someone who plays Legendary with Dwayne a lot, like, it's nice having Dwayne do all of the solo work, get acquainted with all of the expansions, and so then Dwayne brings us like the best combinations of heroes and scenarios.
Yeah, and it sounds like you guys are really enjoying actually digging into the design of the game and experiencing like the puzzle, like what they're able to do with this stuff. And I think that's a big part of solo gaming, and it shows that, right, enjoying games isn't just the social piece. Board games have come a long way to where if there's a really interesting like mechanic or design, like I'm interested just for that pure fact. Like I want to try it out just to see what were they able to do with this new system? How did they design this? I want to play around with this, and you don't need another person to do that. Right. You can dig into the mechanics of a game and kind of deep dive the design and just see, wow, that's really interesting. That's really curious. That's really ingenious. And just for the game, you can have the same play satisfaction from playing the game solo as you would with other people, just from the perspective of playing the game itself. Yeah.
It's a different kind of satisfaction, but it is still satisfying to me.
Dwayne, it's 131 villains, 229 heroes.
That is insane. So. Yeah, I will be working on that one for a while. But the other thing that is really interesting about Legendary, and to some degree with United as well, is how much they're able to do with just the same components. Because in Legendary, your plot twist might be, attacks on the Avenger Tower, or it could be heroes turning evil because some mastermind has a mind control machine. So to take these components and just use them in different ways and still carry that theme across, it's really fun to watch.
Now, one caveat, I'm going to say one negative on this, and I'm at a loss thinking of any solo games that might fit this criticism. But one of the reasons I do like playing Marvel United, I do like playing Final Girl, is they're quick and breezy. You're playing that game for a half hour, 45 minutes, and you're done.
Oh, I have a counterpoint for that one.
I don't know that I would want to play like a 4-hour solo game.
Yeah. I definitely set up games of Arkham Horror that run 3 or 4 hours.
I was about to say, that's another example. Like Arkham Horror, there's also Elder Sign. That are definitely like longer than, and I think with Legendary, it's the setup can sometimes be longer
It
than
can
the
be
game.
it can be a bit, especially when you're fishing for certain things to put together.
Now, solo gaming and speed. I mean, you play a lot of solo games on BGA, right?
Yes. So I think the extent of my solo gaming experience so far has just been on BGA. Like Dwayne's talking about, like being able to get through all of this content with multiple people is super hard. And the games that I also kind of tend to go towards with solo gaming right now, or like at this point in my gaming hobby experience, are games that I've already played with like 4 people, and I want to go through the mechanics. Like it's part game, it's part learning for me, because I've done Wingspan, Terraforming Mars, Pandemic, Welcome to, like, so it's, I feel like it hits all of the points that like we've already said, like JK, like the quickness of it, Dwayne, like the being able to just crunch out a lot of like repetition.
But no setup. I mean, that's the nice thing about BGA. It's just you set it up and go. Because
that's how, like, my other limitation is space, and like what's going to be a limitation for almost everyone at some point in time is money. Like, I'm not going to be spending a lot of money and apartment space to start collecting all of this Final Girl stuff, even though it sounds super awesome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, solo gaming, I mean, it has come a long way to the point to where there's design groups that just design solo games. Like there's the Automa Factory that works with Stonemaier Games. David Turksey is a designer that publishers hire him out. Like someone else designed the game, and they hire him to design the solo modes. So, I mean, he's done games, solo modes for Nucleum, Tricarion, Teotihuacan, Voidfall, Anachrony. I mean, just it goes on and on. So people are being hired to design these games. There's designer groups just to do this. It shows that people want solo games. It's not a weird thing. It's not an odd thing. I mean, people want to dive into these games.
Solo games, guys. If you don't have friends handy, find a game. Come play. They're great.
All right, Gleeples, this game of the show is Skyrise. Skyrise was published by Roxley Games. It was designed by Gavin Brown, Sebastian Pashon, and Adam Wise. Art was by Andrew Bosley, Damian Mamaliti, and James Vandernick. It was released in 2024, so it still has that new game smell. It plays 2 to 4 players, but it's at its most gleeful at 4 players. JK, please walk us through Skyrise.
In Skyrise, you are one of humanity's greatest visionaries, and you are helping to build the city of Skyrise, which is a magnificent city in the sky dedicated to art, science, and beauty. This is actually a bidding game where you are trying to gain control of territories throughout the city by placing buildings out. All of the buildings in the game have a number value assigned to them. And when a player places out a building, the next player will place a building in an adjacent spot with a higher number if they wish to. They can always drop out. Regardless of what happens, at some point, someone's going to win that bidding process, and their building will stay on the board, claiming a territory and getting a small bonus for doing so. Half of the buildings that are in your inventory will be played in the first half of the game. After that, we'll stop, we'll do a little bit of scoring, and add in the rest of the buildings. In addition to those buildings you add, you get a wonder. The wonder trumps all of the other buildings. It will be more powerful than anything except another player's wonder. And those wonders have special powers attached to them as well. You get to decide what that power is from a choice of 3 when you start the second half of the game. In the second half, you will play until every single player has exhausted every single building in their inventory. Once that's done, the city is set, and you look at final scoring. Skyrise.
Man, does this game look good on the table.
Oh, boy.
It is so pretty.
Now, spoiler, and you guys know me well enough to know, I kind of got the blinged out version.
Yeah, fair enough.
We weren't playing the retail version.
Did you know there's actually a higher blinged out version than yours?
I think it does the sun drop washes on all the buildings and everything. Yeah.
And then
Wow.
wooden tokens instead of cardboard.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yes.
Very nice. Okay.
Yeah, so there is even a more expensive version.
But I will say, even the retail version of this that isn't plastic, just a cardboard, board, and then it's wooden tower pieces. even the wooden pieces are great. They're custom formed, so custom shapes. So it still looks impressive on the board. So you don't have to pay out the wazoo for this if the retail version is still beautiful.
Now, I knew I was going to dazzle you guys with how it looked.
Yes.
But how did it play?
Okay, let me tell you what I did love about the play of this game. There is the idea when you win a bid, you put your building out there and you start the bidding the next round. Because of the way the board is designed, eventually you're going to block off areas where there's only one legal placement, which means if I can successfully create one of those on my turn and I win the bid, then I can immediately go and claim that section. Do you all remember playing dots in school where you would put the dots? Okay.
I had the same thought.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Because one of the tricks to dots was to not get yourself in that corner where you would be the one to complete a square and then give your opponent all the squares to do. And that was one thing that came to mind playing Skyrise, is it has that kind of like, I've got to be very careful and plan this so that I am not giving my opponents a huge advantage.
Okay. And that did happen a couple times in the game where maybe I would win a bidding process, place my building, and then there was one spot right next to it that was open that nobody else could add to, and I could throw my lowest bid building in there.
Yes, yeah.
And win an auction for a really ridiculously low amount.
Because early in the game, I was like, what am I going to do with this 2 building? And then I was like, I know exactly what I'm going to do with this 2 building. I just have to wait for it to happen.
Go ahead, James.
So when that area of the game started to reveal itself, that's when the game really came to life for me. There was the kind of that aha moment of like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
I get. I'm not. I see where the decision space is here, and where the not the stress, but the tension comes.
Yeah, because I had a similar like epiphany, because the first era, I was just like, okay, like it's just like I'm not a huge fan of bidding or auction games, and
yeah, me neither.
And so that first era, I was like, oh, I'm doing bad, but I don't know why I'm doing bad. And then the second era happened, and I was like, oh, now I know exactly where everything like fell apart for me.
One other important element of the game is that as you're building throughout the city, there are neighborhoods in 4 different colors. Now, each player is starting the game with a secret goal of one of those neighborhoods that they're trying to target to specifically build in those areas. But as you're claiming them throughout the city, each neighborhood also has a token on it. When you claim that neighborhood, you get the token. The token gives you points for how valuable your cities are going to be in the neighborhoods that you grab.
Yeah, so it's got a little set collection in there.
And those don't necessarily line up all the time. Like you might have a yellow neighborhood that has a blue token on it. So you're not necessarily getting the most out of every move you make, but it does add up trying to figure out how you're going to score at the end of the game, where you're going to apply your resources.
And that's part of what I liked about, or that's part of why I liked this as an auction game when I normally don't, like you said, Emily, is because it's not just pure auction. There's other gamey things happening that allowed me to get points, to form strategies, and not rely 100% on having to win auctions every single turn, which was really gratifying from an auction game standpoint. And I found a lot of enjoyment out of that.
Using the buildings to bid is much better than like using money to bid. You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like most auction games, you're giving up points or more money or something to bid, and having the bids kind of preset was interesting. I would really like to find out how they figured out how to balance that, because each number is unique, which means there is a player that has a building that will beat all other players at when you start. So I do wonder how that worked as far as game balance.
I think it comes down to everybody has a highest building, and I don't think it's a matter of the building being able to beat all other buildings. I think it's where the wonders come in. The highest number building somebody has, it's really just them deciding if they at a certain point do they want to spend their highest building.
Sure.
It's not like I'm gonna wait to trump everybody. It's just we're all making that same decision because all of our highest buildings are pretty high.
I think you guys knocked out at least in the first half of the game, you knocked out my highest building super early in the game. And I kind of immediately regretted that, because then I started losing every single auction that came up. I had no out for a while.
Yeah, because it is. If you lose an auction, you get your building back.
Yeah,
right. Which is really nice. And if you win and you start off the next play, you can put your building anywhere on the map. It's not like you have to
adjacent to another building.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like not adjacent to the one you just played or
Right.
something like that. Just anywhere on the map that's next to another building. So there's a lot of freedom both in having that, I don't know if you call it first player, but first player, turn. But then also losing a bid. It's not like some auction games where you lose the money you put in or you lose half your money. You get your building back and you get to try again next turn.
Yeah.
It was definitely a game of give and take where it's like, JK, you said like your tallest building got kind of knocked out in era 1 really early. And so it was like, I took that opportunity to be like, okay, well, I'm just going to win a bunch of auctions. I'm just going to try to get these tokens and whatever. And then like I was left with not a lot of like bidding power later on in the era because it was still pretty empty at that spot. We didn't have those like combo-y dots chains that Dwayne was referencing earlier. And like the give and take, like it's such a puzzle and it stressed me out the entire time. And it was one of those games that was like, after thinking on it for a week, I'm like, okay, I see this game in a different light now. I'm starting to appreciate some of the aspects, the complexities of it.
There's variable scoring as well. So each time you play the game, you're going to start with 3 scoring cards that come out. One of them is always going to be there. Whoever has the tall building or the most tall buildings on each section of the island, that one doesn't change. But the other 2, I think you wanted to be on opposite sides of bridges, and you wanted to have 3 buildings right in a row.
Yes.
Those the next time you play, you may not see those 2. It may be entirely 2 different rules for scoring. And then of course the wonders give you different scoring based on what you chose in round 2.
Yeah, and those were some of the gamey things that I was mentioning that allowed for more point opportunity that wasn't about the auction. It was just about building placement. And Dwayne was killing it on the bridges.
Yeah.
I got really lucky on a few of those bridges.
But that was a lot of fun. It gave me something else to chase while we were playing, along with my personal goal, along with those point tokens or the letter tokens. So something JK didn't mention, which is pretty fun. At the start of the game, you put out 4...
They're sponsors. They're 4 sponsors.
4 sponsors. And they're different letters.
A, B, C, and D.
Right? Yeah, A, B, C, D. And the value, they're face down tokens, and they have values that are hidden from everybody. Nobody knows what they are. And it goes from...
I believe it's 2, 3, 5, and 8.
Yes. And then on the board, scattered about, those tokens that JK was mentioning earlier about the colored tokens, well, there's also tokens that match these letters. And if you claim one of those spots and it has a letter token on it, you get to secretly look at that letter token to see how much it's worth. And then from that point, okay, well, if that's the 8 value one, I'm going to go hunt down the rest of them.
Yeah.
If it's the 2 value one or the lower value one, I'm going to go hunt a different one. And so you have that information just for yourself until somebody else, finds their own, letter token somewhere else.
Well,
and that was fun.
What I loved about that aspect of the game, though, is if you saw another player claim a second letter with a high building, that might be a letter I want to start exploring, right? Because like he paid dearly to claim that, and he knows what that is.
Yeah.
He or she knows what that is.
And they got 2 of them. There's probably only 1, maybe 2 left because they are evenly distributed. So that was another fun thing that you're able to kind of spend some attention on, and just another way to get points that wasn't auction related. It was just really, really interesting how they found that balance.
JK, did you have like a lane strategy with this game? Because hearing like James talk about it, it's like I feel like there's so many things to pay attention to in this game.
Oh, you mean like did I have a Sensei Mark strategy that I was following?
Yeah.
I pretty quickly leaned into, well, one, you start the game with a card that's a secret from everyone else that basically just tells you want to try and score buildings in these specific neighborhoods.
Kind of like Sagrada,
Yeah.
right? You all get a similar style card.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That made me
Focus on
think
the
of
color.
that too, James.
So that was really my first goal was I'm going to focus on just nailing as many buildings in this neighborhood as I can. It pivoted really fast once I started seeing Dwayne pop up buildings on every bridge imaginable. I was like, I've got to shift to defense here and try and keep these away from him.
Yeah.
And beyond that, really just kind of sitting back and subtly watching to see if I could get 2 buildings slightly close together, but not be so obvious, and then drop the third one in there. And I think I managed to do that a couple times. Yeah.
that can be a really, when you're able to, I think one of us, I can't remember if it was me or not, but I had a combo turn where you got 2 of those, I want to say, where you were able to place a low building, which then comboed into another one-off space.
Yeah.
And those can be really good feeling turns.
Any negatives?
It stressed me out.
Did it really?
Yeah, I was so like upset by the end of it. It reminded me of just like Grand Austria Hotel. Like we're doing the final scoring and like everyone has lapped like all 4 corners of the board because it's one of those score around the board. And I'm like, I will be lucky if I get around 2 corners of this board.
Yeah, I think I don't have any negatives actually. I mean, nothing gave me bad feels in this game. I don't think that I couldn't have avoided maybe.
Okay.
So you can get stuck in a spot where you have a lot of low buildings and everybody else has high value buildings, and you're just watching every single turn someone else is winning the bids. But I found it eventually comes back around, and you're able to make something happen because you eventually get back on the equal footing. But if that's the case, it also means that you were winning things earlier. So you were doing well earlier in the game when now everybody else has the higher buildings, so they're kind of taking advantage of that.
Yeah, that's how like all my negatives are like purely just personal. Like I feel like this game brought out all of the things I am insecure about. Like with the auctions, I hate going toe to toe like in an auction because I feel like I just get rid of like all of my like valuables way too early. Like when it is a game with auction and money, it's like I feel like I run out of money in 2 or 3 turns. And the saving an optimal play for later, or like trying to not have the most like amazing play every single turn. Like you have to give and take. Like sometimes you have to take the lower like choice or whatever to set yourself up for a better power play later on. I find those very challenging for me because I haven't worked enough with them or something. So that's like, those were my only negatives. The game's great, really.
Yeah, I will say this. This is probably, I think, the 4th time I'd played the game. And, kudos to you guys. I think it was the most intense game I've played.
Really?
I up until this point, kind of felt it was a little light, a little too simply. And this got heated. Like
we were in each other's way.
Yeah. That makes my bruised ego a little.
No. It was actually a really good game of this. It actually showed that this has a little bit more depth to it than maybe I originally thought it did.
Interesting.
Yeah, definitely. The most stressful parts is towards the end when all the spots are kind of disappearing, and you have very limited opportunity. One for yourself, but then also very limited options to not provide opportunity for others.
Yes, to take advantage.
Without your choice, because you have nowhere else to go. And so I was like, I know that I have to place here to get what I need, but I'm going to be giving somebody else an automatic 2-turn combo because there's no other spots for them. It's just towards the end when it all starts shrinking, it gets tight.
Yeah.
It was a good game.
Yay. Well, it's my game and I paid a lot for it, so no surprise here for me. It's a keeper.
Yeah, I had wanted to play it because it looked so pretty, but then I also heard good things about it. It's actually based on an older 2008 game called Metropolis,
which was a Spiel winner.
Oh yeah, LYS, by the way. I don't know how you spell it at the end there. It's a weird way to spell it. So they, Roxley brought it back, of course, in amazing production fashion, and it surprised me. I really enjoyed our play. And it's interesting for you to say, JK, that this is the most intense game you've played, because if it hadn't been that way, I might not be as interested in it.
Yeah.
Right? I could see it as like, okay, I mean, I experienced it. I'm probably fine. But no, this was like engaging.
Yeah.
For me, it's a keep it to play.
So I'm going to surprise myself and say I'm going to keep it to play as well. I would love to get more experience with the auction stuff. I would love to give it another go. Knowing how I know the era 2 kind of goes now, I feel like I will be way more prepared to handle the first half of the game to maybe set myself up better for an end game the next time.
I am itching to play this again, so it is a keep it to play for me.
It was literally like as the game went on, I'm feeling more and more defeated, and I like look at Dwayne and his eyes are getting like sparkly and shiny, like he's so excited.
That's 4 out of 4 on the Glee meter. The Glimmeter.
Ew.
So, how did we do? I mean, it's no surprise. I ended up in fourth. I did make it around the board 4 times. I got a 3-digit score, but
I came in third because of a decision I made at a point, and I misunderstood the scoring. And I think if I had not made that decision, I would have had enough to take first place in this game.
Well, it's my game, so surely I won, right?
Not this season.
Nope, this is the season of James.
Season of James.
Yeah, I'm making up for last season. I won this one as well, guys.
Well, congratulations to you, James. We're very proud of you. But according to the rules of the new charter, winning does not mean that much aside from bragging rights. JK, as the second place player in this game, you will choose our game of the show for the next episode. What are we playing, JK?
Our next episode, we're not going to get heavy. We're not going to get new or fancy. We're going to play something quick called bacon.
All right, let's go.
I'm hungry.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
bacon's yummy.
Bacon's yummy.
I think we've talked enough about games that it's time to play a game on air. No, not a board game, a game about board games. Apparently with spelling involved too. This week,
rolling.
JK has brought us a game.
I've brought a game back. So last season we did an anagram game, which had a scrambled up game title, and you guys had to decipher what it was. We're doing that one again. In my hand, I have 12 cards, all with a crazy game name all mushed together. Essentially what we're going to do, we're not going to take turns on this one. I'm going to hold up a card. We will read it out loud.
Oh, geez.
So that the listeners know what we're doing. And then you guys can try and make a guess as to what game it is. If you don't immediately get it, I will start throwing out just some random commentary about what the game actually is. Whoever wins it gets the card. And at the end of the game, whoever has the most card wins.
All right.
Whoever screams the loudest gets the...
Yes.
All right. Everybody ready for the first one?
Mm-hmm.
Read this aloud.
Concussion
in mud.
in mud.
It still cracks me up that you make real words.
And the game is not necessarily 3 words, is it?
That does not necessarily apply.
Oh, that makes it so much harder.
Not that.
This game is a 2024 release.
Oh, I was way off in my head. 2024.
It has amazing artwork.
Vincent?
Unconscious mind.
It is
Yep.
unconscious
Wow,
mind.
well
As
done,
soon as
James.
yep. Yeah.
I was gonna, the CON had me going Concordia, and I was stuck on Concordia. Even though there's,
You really got to move those letters around.
All right. Our second one. Here we go.
We got McMahon prevails.
McMahon prevails. McMahon prevails.
So in this game, much like the WWE, you have heroes. You have villains. You might even have some thugs to beat up.
Oh.
Marvel Champions.
It is Marvel Champions.
Dwayne
Yeah.
Yada.
Dwayne.
I was thinking of the video game. I found Rivals. And,
yeah.
That messed me up.
All right. Number 3.
Bony Madcap.
Padme.
Hey guys, what if you assembled a crew and took them on an adventure? Maybe to steal things.
Oh, it's Bad Company.
It is Bad Company.
Jeez.
Oh, that was good.
All right. Number 4.
Austrians Norfolk.
Wow. Austrians Norfolk.
Yes.
Grand Austria. No. I'm thinking Austria.
And in this game, you would learn that explorers and adventurers don't have to come from Europe or Virginia.
I see what you did there.
I don't.
Explorers or adventurers?
Think Indiana Jones.
Lost Ruins of Arnak?
Lost Ruins of
Yeah,
Arnak.
I couldn't think of the title. I was there.
Oh my gosh. How is that all wrapped up in there? Jeez.
Oh,
The K was, I was stuck on the K and I could not come up
same.
with. Man.
All right. The next one.
Perky Penance.
So in this game, you are clearing land so that you can put midway attractions out in it.
Midway?
I think I know what
Some
this
might
is.
say this game is a diamond in the rough.
This is the not the carnival. Is this the tent? No.
It features art by Vincent Dutrait,
Surprise.
and it was produced by Thunderworks Games.
It is what I think. I can't think of the name. Oh my gosh, it's pretty. It has a 3D component to it in the center of the board, and I cannot think of the name.
Tell us more, James.
One of the words here is
a ticket tent. Oh my God, it's on the tip of my brain.
One of the words here is one of Emily's favorite games.
Oh, Tenpenny Park.
It is
Tenpenny
Park.
Parks.
Wow.
Oh, God.
All right. Our next one is
Remark soon.
Moon. Remark soon.
this game was made right here in Nashville.
Moonrakers.
Nice. Yeah, that's it.
Sad. I love that game.
I got the moon part.
All right. The next one.
High tempo. Imhotep.
Good
Oh,
job.
Nice.
nice,
Well done,
Emily.
Emily.
All right. The next one.
Afghan's Easter jog.
Afghan's Easter jog. Wow. Stog Jester.
This game has a unique scoring mechanic where there's 2 scoring tracks.
Rogers of the Ganges?
It is Rogers
Yes,
of the Ganges.
I couldn't get it out fast enough, James. Well done.
Okay, this one made me laugh.
Adam's Chimp Roofing.
For all your roofing needs.
And that's Adams with 2 Ds for listeners trying to figure this out. Adams Chimp Roofing.
CHIMP. Chimp.
This game has everything. It has trolls. It has boats.
Oh, it is Champions of Midgard.
I did not know
Nice.
where you're going with that. Trolls and boats and everything.
All right. The next one.
Airman Wee Hatch.
WEE.
Yes.
Airman Wee Hatch. Chair.
We have discussed this game on this show because it very famously has stumped me.
Oh. Weather Machine.
It is Weather Machine.
Oh, well
that's a
done,
good one.
Emily.
That was the best clue you could have had.
James, how many cards, before we go to the last one, how many cards you got over there?
I'm not going to show you,
All
Ryan.
right, fine.
No,
I'll let you know. I am playing for
I have
funsies.
4. I think we're tied.
We are tied. Oh, fantastic.
Pressure's on.
Okay, so
All right.
we're on because we have 1 clue left.
Oh, man.
Are you guys ready?
Cyrus Depreciation.
So this is if Billy Ray wanted to take his old horse down this to buy seasonings.
Great West, no.
Mm-mm. I was looking for that one too, James.
Cyrus with a Y.
Yes.
Cyrus. Depreciation.
If Billy Ray wanted to take his horse to the old town one of these to buy seasonings.
Corral.
Oh. Oh, no.
Cologne, no. Oh, it's a old town store.
Gonna take my horse to
Yeah,
Old Town
I got the
Road.
word. I don't know what goes before it.
Depreciation.
I wanted to say Thunder Road, but that's not in
not
there.
that road.
Man.
It's not a game in the Dune universe. It's not.
Creepy Road.
Spice Road.
It is Century Spice Road.
Oh my gosh. Nice.
That was
And with
tough.
that one,
Dwayne won a word
I
game.
What a word game.
cannot.
He was so stressed about this all
is as good a
weekend.
time as any to announce my retirement from Gleeful Meeple, the podcast.
Glad you could end on such a high note.
thanks for playing, guys. That was fun.
That was
Whoop, whoop.
That was good.
Unexpectedly fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for the hint. I could have never gotten half of this without a hint. Emily top decked one like right off the bat. Boom. So
Imhotep is 7 letters.
yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't get to do my Imhotep clue for that one. I'm kind of sad.
What was the clue?
It was in this game you're playing a variety of mini games with hopes that you please your
Merchant's
mummy.
Cove.
Nice.
Nice.
Yes, well done.
That's a good one.
Love it.
Yeah. We done for the day, guys?
I guess
Yeah, I
we
think
should
that
wrap it up.
does
it.
We need to because I'm hungry and
Yep.
I need to go eat.
Let's get you some food.
If you are hungry as well, we should thank our sponsor, Big Kahuna Burger. That's Big Kahuna Burger. Now that's a tasty
Those are tasty
burger.
burgers,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. If you would like to reach out to the show, you can email us at pod@gleefulmeeple.com or find us at Instagram where Emily is posting constantly. It is at Gleeful Meeple Pod. We shall see you guys at an event. Come see us in Nashville, and I think a lot of us are going to be at Gen Con. I'm still iffy. Remains to be seen.
It's in the works.
But there's some things happening. So hopefully we'll see you guys this year. Thank you.
Bye, Gleeples.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.